Hello and welcome to Illumination Podcast with Nick and Kizma. This is episode 45, and today we're going to talk about the simple secrets to attracting wealth.
Welcome to the Illumination Podcast with Nick and Kizma, bringing you ancient wisdom for modern day success so that you can sparkle just a little bit brighter each and every day. If what you hear speaks to your soul, go ahead and give us a rating and a review in iTunes. You can also find us on SoundCloud and Stitcher. And hey, if there's somebody in your life that you think would enjoy this podcast, go ahead and share it with them.
Hello, Kizma.
Hello.
How are you today?
I'm great. How are you?
I am fantastic.
I'm so excited about this topic.
Yeah, you're excited to talk about wealth?
Well, I'm excited to talk about secrets. I'm excited when secrets are simple. And I love, as I love teaching manifesting, I love talking about attracting wealth on all levels.
Well, that's my first question, actually. When you use the word wealth, like what exactly does that mean to you?
Yeah, I would say wealth is the entire being. I mean, let's face it, we see a lot out there about making money and my 7-figure business and the system to billions. And I'm all about making money. I think money is a definite metric of one's internal energy, but true wealth is owning the money and not having it own you, right? True wealth is having a sense of self-mastery on all levels. True wealth is having a healthy relationship, a fantastic family life, good health, and expanded wealth consciousness.
Yeah, I agree. And that's something when I think about wealth, like another word that comes up around that for me is prosperity.
Yes.
And I think about those really definitely beyond the material world solely. Yes. I think that's part of it, but ultimately I really think it's a richness of being and a richness of your experience in the world. And that has to do with being present. It has to do with, having great relationships and everything like that, and allowing all of those different energies to flow in our lives. Like when I think prosperity, I think flow,
totally.
And wealth is not necessarily an accumulation of that, but more an abundance of that.
I think expansiveness. When the word wealth, it's just like, I so equate it with an expansiveness of consciousness and increase of awareness. You can't increase true wealth if you don't have an expanded consciousness. I just believe that's universal law of truth, because somewhere something is going to break or deplete, or there's going to be mental suffering or attachment. And freedom, freedom comes with wealth in all areas, but you can't feel free if you're just making money and you don't have an understanding of how to build that money, have love in your life, have health in your life, and really enjoy life.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's so much in what you just said. I expect that that's going to kind of unfold as we talk about these secrets, because they encompass some of the different areas where people run into trouble around these, or where people actually wind up restricting the flow of material resources and energetics in their lives as well.
Yes.
So I think just let's dive right in. You good with that?
I am good with that.
So the first secret, tell us about the first secret.
The first secret is called the secret of use. The secret of use. So where this plays a role in your life out there, my dear listener, is if you're wanting to, say, attract money, some wealth into your life, but you're hoarding everything you have. You're not tithing. You're not and tithing to me is really about a purposeful donation, right? To a cause that you love, to a purpose. So if you're just hoarding all your money with such fear of not being able to, that's going to be taken from you or it's going to be lost, then the secret of use is being violated. So if you want to bring more money in, it's important to tithe purposefully. If you want more just material abundance, don't hoard the things you have. Like if you're manifesting a new wardrobe, say you've got a new job or a new position, or you're moving to a different climate, you're like, I really want to manifest a new wardrobe. You better get your butt in your closet and give some old things away, really. And the same with love. It's like some people want to manifest love. Well, are you using love in your daily life? Are you giving love out to the world, to other people, to the planet? Because if you're not using love in your life, you won't receive the love that is right for you.
It's kind of the what is it, colloquial saying is use it or lose it.
Use it or lose it.
Yeah,
absolutely.
You know, one of the areas that I think is interesting about this, well, certainly around money. Like first and foremost, if we're just going to talk about material wealth, money is where people hold back. They don't invest in themselves, and therefore wind up constantly waiting for that special time or waiting for till they have that extra money laying around when they can actually invest in themselves. And that time seems to never come.
Exactly. Because their perception is they are not abundant at this moment, that they won't be able to make it. So if the perception changes, understanding your infinite awareness, you have a limitless to you. I mean, we are all an individuation of the ultimate unique energy, which is fully abundant and fully giving. That's part of the secret of use as well. So knowing that it's there, especially when you're in action, making choices, we're going to talk about some of that in a bit and how to make the choices, then you can freely and purposefully invest in yourself, buy what you want. I mean, obviously, we're not saying go and, use every credit card and overdraw your line of credit, but be out there purchasing what you want and also look at every opportunity to expand your wealth.
Right. And when you talk about, credit's another thing that kind of comes up around this, of people like hoarding and holding on to it. But what I think of is it's like you're waiting and waiting. Like you need, if you want to invest in yourself to get new training, to get new, some really quality mentorship, or like whatever it might be that you need to expand in your life, and you're not doing that, you're going to create a holding pattern, which basically just kind of congests and keeps you stuck. So it's a way of hoarding.
It's a way of hoarding. Yeah. Any kind of congestion energetically is going to manifest externally. This is a fact. So your external world is a carbon copy of what's going on inside of you, right? So I had someone on a call today. I did a training call, and she said, these people that are working for me they're really slow. Someone's painting my house and they're so slow. And she goes, I know there's something behind that. And I was like, well, where are you moving slowly in your life? Whether it's something physically you needed to do or energetically. And really the answer for her was she needed to step out there and be seen, because she has amazing gifts and talents. And she was slow at doing that. So her external world, the people showing up were taking a really long time to get done what she wanted to get done.
So hoarding her talents.
Exactly.
Because of hiding, right?
Of hiding.
Essentially just
fear
hiding.
Of what people are going to think, hiding. So there was a direct external manifestation for that.
Wow. And that's one that comes back time and time again, the fear of what other people are going to think, and then hiding as a result of it. And you're hoarding these gifts and talents that you're actually here to share with the world. And then wondering why, your business or your passion isn't really as successful as you want.
Right.
And it's not generating the wealth, because if you're hiding, people can't freaking pay you for
people can't find
your awesomeness.
You. They can't buy your awesome thing, or you just cannot make an impact to the world.
Right.
On the world. So, and the other thing, if you're wanting to manifest health, I always talk about this one, then be kind to the earth, right? So many people are doing weird stuff to the planet without thinking, yet they're wondering why their bodies are degenerating and not as healthy as they want. The law of using the earth in a divine way is so important as well.
And the earth, I think, gives us such an amazing model for use and for wealth and abundance. Like there's it is so incredible how resourceful nature is.
Totally.
To restore itself. You can have a forest fire rip through, and before you know it,
pull one blade of grass to grow back.
Right. And then it's like, before you know it, like life is sprouting again, and it's just it's like continuing in ever abundant flow. It's really fascinating how nature models that for us.
Right.
Another area that I see, really big one actually, is information.
Information, yes, because information in its own is not transformation.
Right. And we're in the information age.
Totally.
So like you can just scroll down a Facebook feed, any normal person's Facebook feed, and just see a massive amount of information. And some of it can be really valuable, and some can be totally not valuable. And that doesn't even speak to the Google
Oh gosh.
The all-powerful Google, right?
Google, the Oz.
Like you can have information about anything. And, and there are all kinds of free resources out there for people to learn and to gain information. But I think when you're hoarding it and you're not taking action to implement is when you can create that congestion. And then it's that you're constantly in that cycle of not having enough. Like I need to know the next thing before I can take the next step. And I think that's,
or I'm not good enough, or I'm confused, or, information overload causes a lot of confusion in people, therefore congestion, therefore inaction. So that is a misuse of information. If we gain information that is valuable, it is our responsibility to implement that and to integrate that.
Yeah.
It goes back. I mean, let's just add one more on here. And the secret of use is spirituality. Many people want to manifest a stronger sense of spirituality, which is really beautiful. I mean, that's what we're all about, right? That's why we're talking about wealth as an entire way of being, doing, and having. But if all you're doing is reading different books and meditating for hours, but you're not taking action in the world, it's a misuse of that information. And you will leave this planet pretty much at the same karmic stance that you came in. You've got to be in the world. Action is an insignia of life.
Well, we've kind of, I think in our day and age, in our culture, we have glorified the accumulation of information and not necessarily given the same priority or same priority to actually implementing and expressing it out into the world. Right. And if you go back to like that information thing, it's like, I can only say, one of the biggest things that I've learned in building our business and doing everything that, that we've been doing is that there are incredible resources available, and it's not really the need for more resources is virtually never the problem. It always seems to come back to using what you've got to be able to take that next step. And that's what that to me, like that really speaks to the essence of the law of use.
Yes.
Or the secret of use is like, use what you've got to get to the next step and then let the next unfold. Right.
Exactly.
Which kind of brings us to the next
Let
secret.
me insert one more thing because I'm going to give a really practical example. I think you guys will get a kick out of this. So the law of use will also pertain to things in your home. And I know one of our beautiful teachers, Siobhan Moran, mentioned this to us once where she's like, there will be a time where you look around and certain things do not belong to you and you need to let them go. Right. Yeah. So that congestion doesn't build. And I know we had for a very long time, we moved into this condo. We love the condo. It's 2 levels. But Nick had a table that was like this unfolding plastic table.
Bringing it down to the table.
I'm bringing it down to the table from Costco. Like it was a table we had, and he liked it because it was big. And then we put some kind of cool cloth on it. And he worked on this, I don't know, maybe a year. And finally, one day I walked into the office. I'm like, this thing needs to go. Like we're building a business that is about spirituality, consciousness, manifesting, intuition, everything that is high frequency so that people can attract other opportunities and places, times, events of high frequency. This table is not high frequency. And he's like, well, it's okay. I'm like, it is not okay. So whoever, like one of you, someone in your place, your business, or your home, you have to take a stand. So we got the table out. We went shopping, bought a beautiful wood desk. It's really stellar. And honestly, it's like everything feels so much easier and in flow. And there were certain things in just our lives that started to align. And it was a higher frequency table.
Well, I mean, I spend a fair amount of time at it.
Right.
And before, I just wouldn't really think about it. I think one of the things that I've had to kind of retrain myself around is, it's like kind of like glorifying like making do on nothing, or making do with the least. But like there is that out there, and that was something that I really thought was like a kind of a badge of honor of like, oh, I can build my business on a freaking plastic Costco table. Yeah,
you can.
But
then there'll be a point where you're only attracting that frequency.
Yeah.
Right.
And every time I sat down at it, it was like, oh, it's okay. Like I didn't really give it much thought. But now when I sit down at this desk, I'm just
so
like,
honored.
Man, this is awesome. You know?
And that goes to, one last piece is I hear, and we've worked with some of our students, like, well, I'm making just enough. The universal laws of truth are not just enough. You are, and this will take it into the next one, divine order. Like you are the secret of divine order. You are a divine being. Your system, your grid is absolute perfection. Unfortunately, through many things that have happened to the earth and ancestral and just the ways that we raise our kids, there are layers and layers that get slathered on to a child and a being, and then we come in with stuff and basically operating a base program. So divine order for me is really about just aligning with the divine truth, which is there are certain things by divine right we all have access to. And interestingly enough, we turn our back on that because we have doubt. So it's like I was saying today to some students, it's like, you are an individuation of this supreme being, whether it's God, source, Brahman, universe. I usually just call it the unique ultimate energy. Like whatever your word is, use it. You're an individuation of. So when you doubt, when you don't have trust, when you don't have faith, you're turning your shoulder against that. You're separating yourself from divine order. Divine order is this amazing, magnificent blueprint of a human being.
Tell me a little bit more about the divine right. Like when you think about that, I think...
the train of truth.
Hello, train of truth.
The train of truth has the divine right to blow by at any point in time. So we just kind of go with that.
It does. But what about the sense of entitlement?
Oh, it's so different. I think entitlement comes from a separation of divinity, in fact.
How so?
Well, entitlement has a sense that I'm better than everyone else. I'm higher. I should be given this without a return, right? So if we go back to how we're born, which is we're given all the oxygen we need for as long as we're on this planet for free. But people don't stop and think, like, I'm getting all of the oxygen I need for free for as long as I live. So there's few times where we pause and give gratitude to what is coming to us. I mean, in essence, yes, we've done a lot of stuff to the planet. Yes, we've kind of mucked it up, but there are places where you could live off the planet for free and survive.
Yeah.
Right? Now, when someone is raised with the I deserve this without the effort behind it, the work or the giving back, so that secret of use, to get something for nothing is just really not so cool.
So if I understand you correctly, it's basically where it gets out of alignment is where there is a sense of entitlement without doing your part in order to receive that.
Yeah. I mean, think of, we are all like running this earth as spokes in the wheel. Like everyone has a role on this planet, and it's up to our choice to step in fully and as brilliant as we can to fulfill that role. If we're just expecting things to be given to us without an obligation back to the planet or to our work or to our families, it's just going to get really funky.
Yeah, I can see where that would get really
and
entangled.
You see it, when someone's got the entitlement thing, it's like, oh, yeah, that's kind of disappointing.
Yeah, it's when I see that, I feel like kind of sad for that person because they're missing out on the opportunity to really step into their greatness.
Right. Give back.
It's like this expectation that, it should just be given to me.
Right.
Which on the one hand, like I have a little mixed feelings actually. On the one hand, I think it's actually that sense of, of course I deserve awesome things in my life. I actually think that's beautiful.
Absolutely.
Because I think we all do.
Absolutely.
But the side of that really kind of, it more makes me sad for them is like, oh, but you don't, you're not recognizing your part in creating that.
Or the role that all the other humans have played in creating things.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Look at the computers before us, the microphones before us. How many humans played a part in creating these objects and these structures?
Right.
When you have that and you ponder what went on to even conjure up the ideas, there's no sense of entitlement. There's a huge sense of gratitude.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Louis C.K. does an awesome bit on this. I don't know if you've ever seen that, where he's talking. I love his comedy. I think he's hilarious. He's talking about, he gets in the airplane and sits down, and then all of a sudden they're like, hey, by the way, we have Wi-Fi on this flight. And people are like, cool. And they start pulling out their devices, and then they're like, thousands of feet up in the air. They're hurtling through the sky in this metal tube. And then all of a sudden, like, it goes down, and then the guy's like, oh, this sucks, And it's like, you didn't even know that it existed. Anyway, go check out the bit. Louis C.K. delivers it a lot better, but it's really funny. But it kind of speaks to that. And the opposite of that is divine order. And in divine order, like, how do you relate that to manifesting or creating wealth? Like what role does that play when you're either setting intentions or setting manifestations in motion, or really consciously creating your life?
Yeah, for me, divine order is being aligned with what I am commanding into my reality. So we're going to send on our show notes, we have a link to a webinar training that I did, which is really awesome, about a manifesting technique. So I hope everybody goes there. But it's talking about bringing in your higher self to align with your manifestation. So there's a huge element of trust. There's a huge element of faith, and there's a request to your guides, your mentors, your teachers, your angels, that what is to be given to you is delivered. So say if someone's asking for a relationship, or they're wanting to manifest a relationship, manifest that the divine right person appears in your life. And that might be different from the person you think you should be with. If you're trying to manifest someone's leaving their wife to come to you, it's going to get a little bit kooky. So manifest that the divine right person shows up in your life, the divine right position or job, the divine right place to have the trust and allow that order, which is so, this is like in that success track. Everything is divinely ordered and aligned.
Yeah, I see what you're saying about the lack of trust that something can show up for you that is truly right for you. And if it's that person, then awesome. Like, let that happen in a way that's really attuned to the highest, rather than, I'm going to take this person or take this house, like you want a house. Well, somebody's already living in that house. Like, do you want to take that house from them? Not necessarily, but if you're manifesting, which you'll see how to do that on my training, you never know. That person might find, I did this. I manifested a house back in Grosse Pointe, and every day it was like I drive down the street that we lived on. We were renting a house. It's when I first moved there, and I had my yoga studio building up, and I drive down, there was this little white house, and I'd be like, oh, that's the cutest house. I love that house. Like, I loved on that house every single day. And 9 months later, a neighbor knocks on the door, and she's like, Wally and Jean are moving. They're going to sell their house. We think you should buy it. And I was like, I think I should buy it too. So I got the deal all done before they even put it on the market. Oh, that's awesome.
Because I loved on the house.
I love that place.
I didn't, what's the biblical word? I wasn't trying to take it from them.
Is there a big biblical word for that?
Yeah, it's one of those commandments, guys. Just write it in and tell me.
Oh, thou shalt not covet.
Covet. Yeah, that word covet. It was just, I loved it. It was like, that's so cute. That's so sweet. Wouldn't it be cool to have a house like that? But I was not coveting my neighbor's house.
Yeah, that house, or, just trust that the right house is coming.
Yeah. Have faith, have trust. Oftentimes stay out of how the universe moves really freaking fast, especially when you take action. And abundance can come rapidly. It really can come rapidly.
Well, I feel like, okay, so it's almost like when you're too specific about things, it can create that like taking or something like that. But at the same time, it's like being specific about what you want is actually, I think, really important. So like, where's the balance in there?
I just think your analytical brain needs that specificity, and as well, it creates a single pointed focus. And then when you set that manifestation, you allow the divine order to flow, that what should be brought to you. And I don't even like to use the word should, but divinely what is yours will arrive.
Okay, so it's almost like a little addendum on it, Yeah,
it's trust, man. Yeah. It's like it's really what divinely is yours will arrive. I mean, that's like, forget about the affirmations that you put on those little Post-it notes. They're just silly and they don't work. They last for 10 minutes. I'm just going to say that. And they actually cause a lot of twisted internal energy. But when you're just asking and commanding what divinely is yours will arrive, or you are shown the way in divine right order, there's a lot that's going to open up.
Yeah, it's beautiful. What about our next one here?
The secret of divine timing. You had some great insights on the secret of divine timing.
Divine timing. Well, when I think about divine timing, it's allowing things to show up as they should in the right time. And time is tricky. Time's a tricky construct, right, for us to maneuver within, and especially when there's lack around it.
Oh, yeah.
Of, not having enough time or things not happening fast enough, especially in a super fast-paced world.
Right.
Where, is it going to happen? Is it not going to happen? And we get into that kind of like lack mentality around it. And then when you set, like, let's just say for a goal, when you set an aggressive deadline, it's like you almost immediately create a scarcity. And then this is what I think happens. Then after that is now all of a sudden you're in a more forced and willful state to make it happen.
Yeah.
And making it happen, to me, goes in direct conflict with the allowance of divine timing.
Right. There's a whole big difference between attracting something through force and attracting something through allowance, allowing it to show up, staying in flow, staying in your actions, doing what you're supposed to do. But it's we've heard it so many times, what you chase keeps running. What is forced is never forceful.
Right.
So there's a flow in divine timing.
It's that when you're really manifesting through your physical will, it makes it like you against the world.
Yeah.
That's kind of how when I get into that space, that's what it feels like to me. It's like it's me, and none of this is actually true. It's me doing it, which takes out all of the countless helping hands that allow me to, just, and the unseen hand of like, how are you freaking breathing, dude? So it takes you out of that. And it puts it into opposition of the world of like, how am I going to create this in the world?
Right.
Rather than just, when I think about faith around that, it's like it's done.
Right.
It needs to show up. What's my next action?
Exactly. And I think the absence or negation of divine timing means that intuition plays no role. And, we just finished our episode 44 on intuition. So if you haven't listened to that, go back. It's awesome. But, intuition is part of divine order, divine timing. Intuition is the spiritual faculty that it doesn't reason. It just shows us the way.
Right.
It shows us the way. Yep. It shows us the path. It shows us the time. And it allows things to show up in divine timing, especially when we're listening to our intuition.
I am fascinated at how in the moment that intuitive hits can make absolutely zero sense.
Absolutely.
Like none.
But trust is so important in that.
Yeah. And it's so easy to default to the logical mind around that.
Yeah, the trickster.
I think it was our last episode we talked about intuition.
Right.
And how to tap into that more. But as it relates to creating in the world, I just feel like it's so important. And I think a bigger part of the conversation that keeps showing up in all of these secrets is faith.
Yes.
The faith that you have what you need to take your next step.
And you will always be taken care of. I know this can be tricky for people. Those moments, another thing just a little side note, I was teaching on today is about how right before something big happens, right before a breakthrough, right before a celebration, there seems to be these moments where everything goes wrong. It feels like everything's so heavy, nothing's working. That is the very moment where faith has to kick in, man. Just like keep going, because it really is like a crystallization of old energies that are just expunging out, and it will break, and then you'll sail on to the next place.
Yeah. It's almost like it wants to take you back into that mental energy of reasoning and logic. Reasoning,
of force, of doubt, and that's not divine timing. Divine timing is like, all right, I feel like I'm pushing a freaking brick wall up a hill, but here I go, because this is what I'm here to do.
Right.
And help is coming. And that's another big piece, the faith isn't just like, like love, light, and clueless faith. y'all have some guides and teachers and angels and beings around you, or you could just call it energy, or you could call it whatever, but they are ready to help. They're like cheering us on. They want the planet to accrete more light. They want you to step in and do what you're here to do. So every time you have the faith, every time you're in alignment with the divine order or divine truth and you continue to take action, they're like, yes, let's go. You have more help. And asking for that help is also really important.
Kisma's going cosmic on us.
Go cosmic.
Taking it way out there. Mm-hmm. But it's important.
It is important.
We're
not just our bodies. How boring would that be if you were just like an arm, a couple of arms and legs and a torso and this head?
But we've really been trained.
How boring would that be?
We've been so trained into thinking that that's it and thinking that logic and reason is the only way.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's heavy.
No, just doesn't happen.
But logic and reason has a role.
Of course it has a role.
But what role is it then?
Well, I mean, I look at the role of the intellect. The intellect is that discernment. It's the ability to examine, inquire, and discern what your next right action is. So when your intellect is in alignment with divine order, divine timing, when it's in alignment with this secret of use, it's going to guide you to your absolute right choices.
Okay.
So I'm actually not so interested in logic, and you can probably tell. I'm more interested in the intellect, in making my choices in alignment with these secrets of use and order and timing.
Yeah, I've actually learned a lot about that from you.
I don't have logical mind.
No. Well, you just don't you don't operate that way.
Yeah, no.
And I don't think it's a male female thing as much as it is just like who you are as a person. But having been brought up and having just really bought into the idea that smart is really important. That I can say it's been very jarring to me.
Yeah.
To just see the way that you take action in the world. It's like, whoa, it freaks, I'll be honest, it freaks me out every once in a while where it's just like, wow, she's all in, and it's just like, that makes absolutely no sense to my brain, but I've just seen it, I've just seen how you work that and how you play with that in not in really esoteric things, but in business. Yeah. The yoga studio was super successful and you built that in a way that was just so creative and so fun. And it really translated into this business that we have now. And that's really, it's been exciting for me to watch. And there's a faith behind it. Logic actually hasn't played the role that a lot of people think it would. But that doesn't mean it's not grounded in really sound practices.
Well, it's just, when we talk about our soul energies, we've done podcasts on that, divine self-expression and divine wisdom. There I go. So rather than logic of two certain things that are very earthbound, I'm going with the universal laws of truth. It was 8 months after I opened the studio, I said to my staff, hey guys, I'm going to India because I really don't know what I'm doing and I better go figure it out. And they flipped out. They're like, you can't go. I'm like, I'm going. Who would open a business and 8 months later hit the road to India? But I knew I had to go and get to the Vedanta Academy. I knew I had to have conversations with Swami Parthasarathy, and that's how I ran my business very successfully.
Yeah, it was no small investment either at a time when the business was just getting started.
It was like, there I go.
Yeah. Yeah, I got to go.
That was not logic.
Yeah, I went on that trip.
We had a great time.
Yeah, it was awesome. Yeah. Divine timing.
Divine timing. So now let's look at the final simple secret of attracting wealth. This one's big.
The secret of non-resistance.
Non-resistance. Think about that, everyone. The secret of non-resistance. What does that mean to you?
Well, what first comes in my mind is what you resist persists.
Oh,
right. I've heard that a million times.
What you resist persists.
Yet the mind buys into it.
Yeah.
Every time there's somebody in your life that's really annoying to you, and you've got that cord, that keeps looping the same things. And it's like you're constantly resisting that person. Mm-hmm. So, and then what happens? Well, you're more attuned and aware to that. So they could be the exact same person, but you could be focusing on the one thing about them that's super annoying and resisting that. And that's all you see.
That's all you see. It becomes your belief. And that's what keeps showing up to you and other people as well.
Yeah. Yeah, it's powerful.
I think it too, when you're talking about attracting money specifically as wealth, many people come in with what we call karmic imprints, beliefs, negative programs, patterns where, people who have money are really arrogant. They're very annoying. I don't really need money. I'm spiritual. It's like you were saying earlier, I can just live on so little and rice and beans. And I'm not I don't mean to put down anybody, but that is a belief that is actually holding contempt for one of the greatest energies on this planet, which is money. And when we hold money in contempt, it is going to be a little bit tricky to attract that abundance happily into our lives. And by the same token, it's like, where are you resisting opportunities? I had a conversation with someone the other day who had some really great opportunities on the line and wanted to offer an amazing opportunity to these people, yet he resisted accepting an opportunity from someone who was helping him. So if we're resisting help, why is someone going to come to us for help?
That's probably their first objection. Oh, I'll go figure it out on my own.
Fascinating. If we're resisting, it ties into everything. If we're resisting taking care of the planet, why would the planet take care of us? Right?
Tricky.
Yeah. Very tricky.
Yeah, it really makes you think.
Right.
What are some other ways that you see that people resist wealth?
I believe they resist overall awareness. If we look at wealth as part of consciousness and increased awareness, they're just living in a box. It's like, oh, no, I don't need to hear anything. They're not super receptive. So if someone comes into the world super receptive, like if you start your day super receptive, that's beautiful. That's, the use of allowing and attracting things to come to you. But if you're resisting, even if it just means like it's a weird teaching, but you're not sure, you're resisting a conversation with somebody. Like if you're wanting to manifest a new person in your life, but you're resisting going out, why would somebody come into your life?
It's tough for them to find their way in even.
It's tough to find their way in. Yeah, it shows up all over. I mean, it's like, let go of what you resist and you'll be able to attract it.
So it's almost like the thing itself seems to dissolve when you stop resisting it.
Yeah. If you want to see in the dark, stop resisting the dark.
Yeah. The Eastern philosophies talk about the power of water, being the most powerful element because it just finds non-resistance and it just always finds its way.
Always. And I think that again ties into the piece of faith. You will find your way. Do not resist. Don't resist the abundance. Don't hold back. Don't force. Allow. So you can look at different areas in your life and see, where am I blocking? Where am I resisting taking action? Where am I just not wanting to give or open up or be seen or be successful? Why would you resist success? A lot of people have a big fear of success because they're afraid people will either judge them or not love them anymore, or they're afraid of who they're going to have to be.
Yeah.
Do not resist them.
And losing the people that you love because of it. Yeah. That's one we see a lot. Mm-hmm. And what does it come back to? The fear of what other people are going to think.
Oh,
it's such it comes across in so many ways and so many iterations.
Stop it.
And it is so destructive.
Stop it.
We should post that Newhart episode along with this.
Just stop it. Everyone, who cares what others think? Those that love you will love you, and you can have disagreements and you can have active conversations. It's not like you and I agree on everything.
No, we do not agree on everything.
But how sad would it be if we just lived our lives just trying to, kind of navigate so that we were worried what the other person would think? That's not authentic. That's not real.
Yeah, that would be very painful.
That would
be
restrictive. Very resistant.
Like when you talk about freedom, right? Which is one of the reasons that people seek wealth. Mm-hmm. Like probably one of the biggest reasons is they think that it's going to lead them to freedom.
Right.
Then you actually create a binding to then you're stuck in the trap.
That's a great question too, is like, where are people resisting freedom?
Yeah.
Because when you look at wealth, freedom really is the greatest wealth. I mean, that's why we want good health and loving relationships and enough money and whatever, because of this freedom. So if you're resisting freedom in any way, whether it's what you think, what you believe, if you're resisting other people's freedom, that's another one of like judging other people, saying bad things about other people is just resisting their right to be who they are. And this actually creates a lot of bodily diseases.
Yeah. Judgment and resentment. Yeah. That can really add up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Takes away the sweetness of life.
Yeah.
You become bitter.
What was that? We were talking about how to deal with negative people on one podcast, and you're on Facebook and people start, doing their Bazanov stuff. Just hit delete. Just hit delete, because as you get entangled, it's like it creates this resistance. Delete, go about your stuff. Don't worry what they think, and speak your truth.
Who has time for that?
Yeah.
We've got so many other things to do.
No.
Well, let's go back through and give a few action steps, a few points of interest for people. So when we look at the secret of use, one thing that comes to mind for me is really looking at where you're not using the resources that you have available to you, whether it be money to invest in yourself, whether it be relationships that you're afraid to ask for help. Use what's available to you and see what else starts to open up, because that's how you create expansion.
And if you look at it in terms of material sense, if you buy new clothes, go home and donate some of your old clothes.
Yeah, make space.
If you have a bunch of stuff in your house that is just like, you don't need it, give it away. Get really clean and organized and get rid of the clutter.
Yeah. And one that always comes back for me with this one is wear your favorite shirt. Wear your good stuff every day, people. Don't save it for that special occasion. You're worth it. Yeah.
That's so funny. You talked about that before, buying like a really good shirt. I'm going to save it. And then next thing you know, it's like in the back of your closet and you never wear it. It's outdated.
Yeah, you've worn it twice and it's like, whatever. Wear that sucker. Yeah, wear it out for God's sakes, I think that really speaks to that. Now, when we talk about the secret of order.
Yeah. Make choices in alignment with divine order.
So can you explain like what, just to give them something to really think about as far as when you're wanting to create something or manifest something in your life or make a decision, like how do you use divine right order? Like what's something that they can think about?
Well, for me, I'm always asking my higher self. And so if you check our webinar link in the show notes, what's the show notes? sourcemovement.net/INK045. INK045. So we have our show notes and there's a link to a free training there, but talk a lot about asking the higher self and making decisions in alignment with the higher self. And then making choices, like if you know your soul energy, making choices in alignment with that, making choices in alignment with your full potential higher self. And trust me, you will know your body or your heart or something's going to tell you when it's not in alignment if you're listening.
If it's a win-lose situation or a lose-win situation, you can pretty much be guaranteed that it's not divine order.
Yes.
It's always going to be a win-win, whether you can see that or not.
Right.
And when we talk about divine timing,
allow.
Give a little space.
Give some space, breathe, allow it in, expect it to be so. Really expect it. Give gratitude before what you're manifesting shows up. Give gratitude.
Mm-hmm. And non-resistance. I'd say look at the place that you're really resisting, that thing or person or whatever it is that you're just really resisting.
Yeah.
And allow for a little bit more acceptance there.
Yeah. When people have issues with other people, the best thing you can do is bless them, cut cords, let them be.
Yeah.
Because otherwise that energy about them is going to keep showing up. And what's the point?
What's the point? Yeah. You're just recreating the same thing. You continue to resist it. And that's how people continue to attract the same person in their life.
The same person, the same kind of person, the same bank balance, the same job.
Yeah, constantly resisting it. Yeah. So those are the things, the secret of use, the secret of order, the secret of divine timing, and the secret of non-resistance. Yeah. Be like water.
Be like water. Let it flow, baby.
Let it flow. And that, brings me back full circle to like how I really think about this is creating a flow in our lives,
right.
To not have there be stagnant areas that just are stuck and, they become rancid, you know.
They do.
You know, it's true. Like that's, and when you talk about disease in the body, like there's not a flow there. And if you go to any acupuncture, you know, especially if you go to one of the old like Chinese ones, you know, the old school is qi block, you know, your qi block.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then they'll just tell you like your energy's not flowing there and it's jacking up your whole system.
Exactly.
So it shows up in the body, it shows up in every area. Just think about flow.
Yeah.
So I think that about covers it for that part of it.
Send your questions. If you have any questions, info@sourcemovement.com. I'm really excited. We've got some cool future episodes. Speaking of, you know, energy and body, we'll have Dr. Venus Williams on in the future. She's going to talk about hormones and energy. I'm really excited for that. So keep watching. A lot of a great lineup coming. We have some great topics, but super appreciate all of you listening out there. You're awesome. And
we do get this question a lot in a lot of different iterations. Are you up for a question?
I'm up for a question.
I think it'll be a pretty simple one. Like I said, it comes up in from a lot of different people in a lot of different iterations. And so this is sort of a conglomeration of that to make it really simple, is basically like, we talk a lot about manifesting on the show, like creating in your life and being the creator of your life. And a lot of people just ask, well, like, how do I do that? You know, I've studied the law of attraction. I've done all these different things. I've got my vision board. I've got all this other stuff, but like it's not showing up. So like, how do you actually manifest in your life and create in your life?
We have our secret process that's really amazing. And it is about using the chakras of the earth, the chakras of the space, our own morphogenetic field, and clearing blocks to it. And I've talked about that free training that's on our show notes. So go to the show notes, click on free training and watch it because it's so awesome. It just teaches you how to systematically manifest in alignment with your higher self.
It sounds a little cosmic.
It is.
Is it practical for normal people?
Yes, completely.
Like they're not going to think it's like weird or...
Well, you might think it's weird, but dude, do you want to manifest or not? Like talk about the secret of non-resistance. Don't resist this. This is gold.
Okay, I don't want to go off on a whole nother tangent, but isn't that it? It's like it's sometimes the answer is right in front of your face.
Right.
But it's like, oh, that's too weird. Yeah. You know, I'm not doing that. Like, that's too weird.
Yeah.
And you're not going to do it, but that's like, it could be that very thing that's going to take you to the next place.
Exactly. And this is, everything we teach and talk about is about a deep practice, about a stronger connection to yourself, expanding your consciousness, and creating more light. Like, how can you miss with that?
Well, I don't think you can, but I've definitely heard from time to time where it's like, well, like, how does this work in my business, or how is this practical in the world? Like, it's so esoteric, you know?
Yeah. Well, but that's up to you. I mean, if you like I said, divine order, divine timing, non-resistance, and secret of use, it all ties into how we set up this manifestation. And I have had... I had a gal in the webinar who just wrote to me after. She's like, oh my God, my manifestation came to reality in 2 days. We've had students going through our courses that have exponentially, increased their yearly income from $35,000 to $75,000 to more.
Yeah. It's astounding.
It works. It's just up to you if you're going to be open to it.
Yeah.
So check it out.
Receptive.
Yeah, it's on sourcemovement.net/INK045. You'll see the show notes that our guy Jason, going to give Jason a shout out because he's been so awesome, and a link to the free training. And yeah, go manifest, people.
Go manifest, everybody. And if you're going to do it, like having it be in a line from the very top, the highest... Right. Aspects of you all the way into this 3D world, I think is the way to do it, so it really encompasses all those areas. Yes. And that's what I think is awesome.
Yeah.
If you're into that, then definitely check it out. It's the show notes are at sourcemovement.net/INK045.
Right.
Illumination with Nick and Kisma 045. So INK045, but it's sourcemovement.net.
For this one. Yeah. And any questions, email us. And hey, if you have someone that you'd like to share this, whether it's a colleague, it's a friend, it's a family member, please share the love. We so appreciate you for doing that, and really, really love you very much for being here. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody. Peace.
Namaste.